Spratt.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be before this committee again. It's been too long, and I'm happy to be back. Ms. Kumaratnan is going to talk about the immigration impacts of this bill, and I'll be dealing with the substance of it that touches on the criminal law more specifically. We've submitted a brief, and in typical criminal lawyer style, we have done that a little bit late, so it should have been emailed to you all or sent around, and it will be translated shortly. The war on drugs has been a complete and abject failure. The social and financial cost of criminalization of drugs outweighs any illusory benefits. And there's no area where that's more true than in the area of cannabis. Even in an era of declining charges, we still have thousands of people across the country who are in our courts facing charges of possession of small amounts of marijuana. And our already overburdened court dockets aren't filled with privileged white-class children who are caught smoking a joint. There's echoes of racism in Canadian drug laws, and this was recognized by Bill Blair, the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Justice, who acknowledged that minorities, Aboriginal communities, and racialized individuals are disproportionately charged, prosecuted, and incarcerated for marijuana offenses. Marijuana criminalization imposes unreasonable penalties on relatively low-risk activities, and as criminal defense lawyers, we see the results of criminalization. We represent individuals who have been charged with violent offenses because of marijuana. We see the effects of marijuana prohibition laid bare on our streets and in our courtrooms. In simple terms, it's the criminalization of marijuana that creates harm, not marijuana itself. The Criminal Lawyers Association supports legislation that's fair, modest, and constitutional, and we support the legalization of marijuana. There are, however, problems with Bill C-45, including constitutional issues, which I hope this committee will look at seriously, and we've proposed some amendments to help ameliorate some of those problems. The first issue is, quite frankly, the bill is overbroad. In too many circumstances, marijuana is criminalized. An adult who possesses 30 grams of marijuana in a public place is a criminal. A youth who possesses more than 5 grams of marijuana under this bill is a criminal. An 18-year-old who passes a joint to their 17-year-old friend is a criminal. The continued distinction between legal and illicit marijuana and the continued criminalization of marijuana in these circumstances will undercut many of the potential benefits of legalization. More wasted court time, more stigmatization, again, disproportionately falling on those individuals who don't come from a place of privilege. This bill also asymmetrically criminalizes youth. That is, things that are criminal for a young person to do are legal for an adult to do. That has appeared nowhere prior in our criminal code. And that sort of distinction based on age, I think, is ripe for a constitutional challenge. This means that a 17-year-old who possesses more than 5 grams of marijuana is committing a criminal offense. An 18-year-old who is 1 day older is not committing an offense. We recommend that that distinction be rectified. And just very briefly, I'll touch on, I hope we have questions about this. It's good that there's a ticketing regime in this bill. It's good to divert matters from the criminal code. But that ticketing regime, as it's written, is unconstitutional. It excludes youth, and that sort of discrimination is going to offend the Charter. And also the benefits of that ticketing system, being able to seal a court record to make sure that there's not continuing stigma, as we know that there is going to be, and as Aisha will discuss in the immigration consequences, in the immigration context. It disproportionately affects the poor, meaning that if you can't pay your fine, you don't get the same benefit as someone who can pay a fine. That's something that can easily be changed. There's a lot more to say, but before I take any more of Aisha's time, I'll let her talk about some of the immigration consequences here.
Thank you.